Hey, welcome to World Entertainment, and there's a question doing the rounds. Is Sam Raimi actually going to return and do Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire? Because after No Way Home, of course, everybody was pumped for his vision to return. And not just his, they were also wanting the third movie with Andrew Garfield. But Sam Raimi has now finally revealed whether he will return to direct Spider-Man 4 for Marvel and Sony. So he's actually been asked, and he's finally confirmed whether it's happening or whether it's not happening. Also, I will have, by the end of this, because there's a part in this article that brings something up about Tobey Maguire, that I have a massive spoiler. You've probably heard it if you've been watching Nerdrotic and stuff, but if you haven't, it's regarding Doomsday. I'll give you fair warning because it is supposedly a massive spoiler. But let's have a look at this. So it's saying, by the way, this massive spoiler could be why this article is here as well. So Spider-Man 4 was supposed to be released in 2011 and would have seen filmmaker Sam Raimi step behind the camera to pit Peter Parker against the Vulture. Ultimately, Raimi and Sony Pictures parted ways over creative differences, and the franchise was rebooted in 2012 with The Amazing Spider-Man. A sequel followed 2 years later, but the third and fourth movies, along with interconnected Sinister Six and Venom spin-offs, were scrapped when Sony partnered with Marvel Studios. Now, just to go to that, Venom spin-offs, they did happen. Sinister Six didn't happen, obviously. I didn't realise there was meant to be 4 Amazing Spider-Man movies. Obviously that fell apart after the second movie, which was written by Alex Kurtzman, the destroyer of Star Trek right now. And as for the creative differences, it was the fact that Spider-Man 3 was not received well, and Sam Raimi was looking for massive amounts of money for the fourth movie. So with that, Spidey was rebooted again, this time with Tom Holland taking over the role in 2016's Captain America Civil War. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield both returned as their respective versions of Peter in Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021, leading to calls from fans for Spider-Man 4 and The Amazing Spider-Man 3. For some reason, Sony hasn't capitalized on that, despite the multiverse making it possible to tell alternate reality stories. Talking to Screen Rant about his new movie, Send Help, Raimi put an end to speculation that he might return for a fourth Spider-Man movie starring Maguire and Kirsten Dunst, praising Marvel Studios for being better than ever. Yeah, right. After working with them on 2022's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which was a disaster and you could see his vision was only partly there, Raimi said his versions of Spider-Man and Mary Jane have gone elsewhere. He pointed out that the franchise is now following a new artist and noted that audiences are really into Tom Holland's story. As a result, Raimi believes it wouldn't be right for me to go back and try and resurrect my versions of this story. He's had to pass the torch happily and remains honoured to have held it for a time. Raimi added, Stan Lee's great character, that a bullpen of writers in New York and Marvel had come up with stories for. He created the character, but so many people contributed, so many artists, that for a brief time I was handed the torch to carry on after 40 years of Spider-Man comics. And then after my 3 movies, I handed the torch off to someone else. And I think they've got to keep running with the storyline and the audience that is now following the torch bearer. So he's basically said, no, it's done. He's not doing it again. Now, that could also stem from his experience working with Marvel directly with Doctor Strange, because we know they pretty much filmed the majority and didn't allow him to do his thing. If you remember, they said his vision was too dark and stuff like that, so they changed it on him. So that could be why he's saying that. But this article says, And by the way, this is where the spoilers got to come up, which, again, I'll give you a fair warning. So it says, it always seemed like wishful thinking that Spider-Man 4 might happen. On the plus side, Maguire's Spider-Man is rumoured to have a significant role in Avengers Doomsday, where we've heard he could team up with characters like Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, they're obviously saying, are you disappointed that Raimi isn't coming back for Spider-Man 4? Well, it does seem to be the fact that he's not coming back for whatever reason. Maybe he just can't come up with the idea for Spider-Man 4 anymore. Maybe he thinks, maybe his original version was obviously done. You know, he said the Vulture was put into Homecoming. And so maybe he has lost his vision and appetite to come back for it, even though people still want it. Doesn't mean, by the way, that Sony won't just still move forward with a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4, because they could obviously just get someone new. However, this is the massive spoiler part, so I'm warning you now, if you don't want to know this, you may as well click away, and cheers for being here and hit the like and sub and all that good stuff. But we're going to dive into this massive spoiler regarding Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Avengers Doomsday. So we're going to do it in 3, 2, 1. Yes, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is said to appear in Avengers Doomsday. However, he does not have a significant role and will not be teaming up with Deadpool and Wolverine, because what we're hearing now from Gary, who's been told this, Gary at Nerdrotic that is, and Chris Gore has been told this as well, that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man world is the opening of the movie. Now, we did hear that it was meant to be Deadpool and Wolverine's world, but it's actually been changed. Now, that report was from back in like November or something, but what they're being told now is that we open with Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and Doc Ock. What's his name? Alfred something McClado or whatever the hell. The dude who plays Doc Ock. That it's the two of them. It's that world that we open with. And it gets destroyed. It gets destroyed. Doc Ock and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man die. Yep, and here's the kicker. Doctor Doom is not the one that does it. The X-Men are the ones that do it. So apparently that trailer where we're seeing Charles and Magneto and of course Cyclops and all the Sentinels are actually working with the X-Men apparently, and that's the destruction of Spider-Man's world, the Sam Raimi universe. That's what we're seeing in that trailer. So how and who exactly destroys the world, we're not sure. They haven't been told that, so we don't know that. But yes, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is to appear, but only at the beginning, and it's for him to die, basically. Which I think is a stupid move. Now, the reason they're doing it, apparently, is to really show you the stakes that are going to be here and how much of a threat Doctor Doom actually is, that there is consequences and stuff, even though they'll probably bring them back anyway in Secret Wars. Everyone will be coming back for Secret Wars. But the part that I think is stupid for them doing that is the fact that at the end of No Way Home, you have Green Goblin stabbing Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to the point you think, oh my god, did they just kill him? And he's not, he's wounded, but he survives. But to go from that moment of, oh my god, did they just kill him, to now you're going to open your next movie by killing him, I think is ridiculous. So that's the massive spoiler. So if you've stuck around, you now know supposedly what the opening is. You know, we'll take it right now with a bit of a grain of salt, but every time Gary and Chris Gore have come out and said this type of stuff with other movies, it's been bang on. So suspected to be bang on with this. So yeah, again, it sounds like they'll kill him off at the start of this, but he'll be brought back for Secret Wars. But either way, so Spider-Man 4 it definitely is off the table if this movie opens that way. So let us know what you think about all this. Are you disappointed that you're not ever seemingly going to get at least a Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire? Let me know in the comments if you've been here for the spoiler part. What do you think about that spoiler? Especially if it's the first time you've heard it. Let us know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.